Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Nate Garossi. $1.7 trillion asset manager Franklin Templeton says XRP plays a foundational role in global settlement infrastructure. Will be highly interesting to see how world's largest asset managers draw battle lines around various crypto assets. BlackRock sitting out XRP ETFs, for example. I think most people in this space are still wondering why BlackRock has not filed for a spot XRP ETF. Me personally, I think there's some sort of NDA there between Ripple and BlackRock, but you also got to remember, BlackRock, in my opinion, is a shell company for the elites. Ripple is also well positioned with the elites. Maybe there's something there. One thing is for sure, BlackRock missing out on a spot XRP ETF is kind of out of character for BlackRock. Why would they not capitalize on this? You see the inflows that these ETFs are capturing. BlackRock is just missing out. Expert, this XRP ETF might change everything. So this is a new ETF that's been filed, and Ripple Bullwinkle had talked about it earlier today. Interesting, and XRP has grown through 2025 as market participants search for signs of new institutional demand. A recent claim from Ripple Bullwinkle has created new expectations for the next stage of XRP's development. He revealed that Multi-Coin Capital has plans to launch an XRP ETF. This product joins a rapidly growing list of ETFs, making waves in financial circles. We're going to see more and more XRP ETF filings throughout the rest of this year. There's probably going to be even more going into 2026. Yet people think somehow the price of XRP is going to come crashing down after it hits certain price points. It's going to top out and it's going to come down 80-90%. How is that going to happen with all these ETFs, all that institutional inflow of money flowing into these ETFs? I'm just not seeing it. If scarcity happens, that's it for XRP. That's it for any retail investor that's still sitting on the sidelines. Expert explains how a small XRP price move could trigger market volume frenzy. So Chad Steingraber says, the market closed on Friday with an XRP price of $1.90-ish. And if we could make Monday open at $2.10 per XRP, that's a jump of 20 cents in the underlying asset. Consider each share is 10 to 20 XRP, different per fund. That's a significant bump for the share price. A jump like that or bigger could trigger a market volume frenzy as FOMO kicks in for the ETF. This is how the ETF in time becomes an influencer of market dynamics. So he's saying as the price of XRP continues to jump up, we could see FOMO for these ETFs as well. I want to see where we go from here. One thing I do know is that it doesn't take a lot of money to move the price of XRP. Expert reveals XRP price in 5 years with ETF inflows and market cap multipliers. That's where the little bit of money moves the price of XRP because of the market cap multiplier. Most people don't even talk about that, but it definitely exists for this cryptocurrency. So he says specifically, under the 50x multiplier, $5 billion in inflows would lift XRP to $6. $10 billion would take prices to $10. and $50 billion would push it to $43. Meanwhile, with the 100x multiplier, $5 billion would take us to $10, $20 billion to $35, and $50 billion would bring the price to $84. But here's the thing. XRP's market cap multiplier is usually much, much higher. He then outlined the 200x scenario, which he said aligns with what XRP often displays during volatile periods. He noted that XRP frequently shows multipliers between 100x and 200x, and even reached 1200x during the extreme liquidation on October 10th. Interestingly, under this scenario, $5 billion would take XRP to $18. $10 billion would push the price to $35, and $20 billion in would push the price to $68. But a $30 billion inflow would lead to an XRP price of $101. Now, here's the thing. That's based on the circulating supply right now. Now, a lot of the circulating supply is also going to disappear as well. Then we have scarcity. You got to factor in retail FOMO. You got to factor in institutional FOMO, which I think we're definitely going to see once the Clarity Act gets passed as well, that market structure bill. I think that's going to greenlight all the institutions. So you can't really go by these numbers right now. The reason I showed them to you is because he factors in the market cap multiplier. And I think that's going to be game changing for the price of XRP in the short term. You factor in the market cap multiplier with scarcity, and all of us are going to be retiring very soon. Analyst says today begins an epic story for XRP, as Wall Street will bow to XRP. One thing I got to remind you of is this. You beat the institutions to XRP. It never happened before in history. And you still have not beat, you still can beat the institutions to this cryptocurrency. More ETFs are coming. This is Thanksgiving week. When you're sitting at the dinner table and people are asking you about your crypto, I would tell them now's the time, because time is definitely running out. The institutions are finally here. They're coming in through these ETFs. As more and more institutions jump on board and more institutional money flows in, you are going to be paying a premium for XRP. Grayscale is looking at a potential staked XRP ETF. Take a listen to this.
I'm looking at Doppler Finance. They continue to kind of drive the position right here. And it's difficult for an XRP holder, especially native asset, to go out and stake. It's cumbersome to get it done until that starts to loosen up. Imagine if you had a stake opportunity within an ETF. I mean, literally just right there, easy click, easy access for millions and millions of institutional and retail investors to stake their XRP, well, have staked XRP, I should say, exposure to it. Wouldn't that be a good product, don't you think?
We are actively looking at all of these things, and I'm delighted to say that we began the process of staking in US-listed ETFs with our Ethereum products in October, and the Treasury and IRS have now given more detailed guidance about the treatment of these products. So I think you will see much more staking activity in crypto ETFs.
I think that's going to be a big deal because that's what retail always wanted. We wanted to be able to earn off of our XRP. Now, imagine institutions being able to stake an XRP ETF. I think there will be a lot of demand for that. Let's see if they get it done. Cody Carbone says more U.S. states are preparing to allow tax payments in XRP. Take a listen to this.
See this at the state level as well. I mean, we've already talked about the municipal bonds in New Hampshire. I think you're going to see more states start to replicate this. Can you pay your state and local taxes through Bitcoin, through XRP, through Ethereum. I think this is going to be, it's a copycat government system. Well, it'll be huge.
I think that's going to be good for states that want to create crypto treasuries. And that is definitely coming. We already see it with Bitcoin in some states. I think other states, they're going to want to accept utility-driven cryptocurrencies. Me personally, I will pay my taxes with fiat because I don't want to spend my XRP on anything. I think we're going to be able to get massive returns through passive income very soon. Take that money and pay the taxes with it instead. Brad is fighting the good fight for all of crypto. This comes from Riz and also Vet. Take a listen to what Charles Hoskinson says here.
I think the hardest working person on the Clarity Act was Brad. He was in DC pretty much every day, talking to people every day, eating with the president, doing all kinds of things. I keep running into him. I say, hey,
we're talking about Brad Garlinghouse, correct? For clarity.
Yes, that's correct. He's one of the hardest working guys.
So Brad was eating with the president and getting the Clarity Act put together for all of crypto. Now, you don't get a seat at the table like Brad Garlinghouse gets unless XRP is the future. That's the way I look at this. And Brad, we knew he was meeting with President Trump before President Trump was even the president. That was back in the summer of 2024, right before Ripple launched RLUSD. And people still don't realize RLUSD is going to be a very big deal in the United States. I think it's going to emerge as the U.S. digital dollar. Big one here. Will Ripple replace banks soon? Why XRP is at the center of all of it. Here's the way I look at this. If you're talking about Ripple replacing traditional banking, I think Ripple wants to become a bank. I think they're going to emerge as a central bank possibly at some point in the future. That definitely benefits XRP. But in this article, they talk about what XRP is built to do, how it could move money, it can serve as a bridge asset, and so on. And Brad never set out to fight the banks either. He wanted to update the banking system, especially the SWIFT system. That's what they set out to do. But I think they became so well-rounded now. They have custody. The tokenization is going to be huge for the XRP ledger and so on. I think they're going to become a one-stop shop for everything. Anybody that wants to onboard into this space, go on chain, they're going to choose the XRP ledger because Ripple makes it so easy. Now, Ripple will most likely become a central bank because they're going to be connected to all the banks. What they're essentially doing is they're connecting banks to the RippleNet system, allowing them access to all those Ripple rails. So replacing the banks, I think Ripple's more likely going to fix the banks, fix their entire system. And banks, they're going to start offering crypto soon. They have to. How do they stay relevant in a time where everything is real-time payments? That's why most of the younger generation, they're not opening a checking account or a savings account at the bank. They're using cash apps and so on because they want instant gratification. They want everything to be fast. If they make a payment on a Friday, they want that money to instantly come out of their account. If the banks don't embrace this now, they're never going to get those customers later. That's the way I look at it. And crypto can open up the banks to a lot of new customers. I think at some point we're going to see banks, you walk in, they're going to have a lot of crypto options. I even think banks are going to work like exchanges in the future. And that's why the FDIC is already looking at insuring digital assets because they know that's the future. Everybody knows it now. You know, there's not that time where crypto is going to be a passing fad anymore. Crypto is here to stay. and it's only gaining momentum from here. We are still early as XRP investors, in my opinion. But you know what's great about it? We're watching it all come together in real time. And at the end of all of this, we get rich together. But until it happens, you gotta stay patient and stay positive. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.